It's recorded. All right. Okay, let's do this. All right. This is Nayan Bhula. I'm with the NRIs and Red Stapler Records. And this is the first episode of Both Sides Now. And it's a monthly thing we're doing in 2021. The NRIs have decided to do something crazy and release one song a month. And that's almost killing us and only about 2 songs in. But part of the monthly kind of thing, I was thinking it would be fun to do a kind of a songwriter's corner and just talk about songs, and the 5 people who might actually watch it would be interested would be cool. But our esteemed bass player Eddie Fuentes from the NRI said you should just do with somebody else. So it'd be both of you. You could talk about songwriting with another songwriter. I was like, genius. And he said, yes, you can take that idea and you can do it. So the first person I have on is Jahnel Daliya from right here in the DMV. So hello, hello, hello. Thank you for being the guinea pig on this episode and this whole thing we're trying. So really excited to have you.
Guinea pig.
I was like, who can I get? Who can I rope in to do the first one? So we're really quickly going to go through just a little bit about both our singles that are out right now. We'll talk a little bit about the process and all that good stuff. So why don't you tell the wonderful people a little bit about you and yourself?
All right. Well, my name is Jahnel Daliya. I have been songwriting and performing for the past, I think, 7 years now in our DMV area. I don't know, man. I started this thing out of like just, I should write because, I've never done it and I've always wanted to and I was scared to. And everyone else seems to be doing okay. And man, I want to surround myself with like musicians. And then a friend was like, why don't you go to an open mic? And I was like, oh, I never thought about that. But it was mostly because I was too scared to, like too shy to be in front of other people.
Where was the open mic? Where was the open mic?
The very first one I went to was in Fredericksburg at this place called the Rec Center. I did not perform. It wasn't my vibe. The people were nice. They were lovely. But I finally went to one at Brittany's in Woodbridge that my friend Jason Massey hosts. And I was like, oh, wait, I know Jason from like when I went to college. And, he hosts an open mic. I'm like, I'll just go there. And I had no guitar.
Nice.
I had a guitar. I didn't have one you could plug in.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really into like miking a guitar. So I was just like, oh, okay. I'll just, can I use yours? He was like, of course. Yes.
That was a good decision. That's a good decision. That's a rookie mistake when you bring in a guitar and you can't plug it in. It's always not a good decision. But that's great.
No.
That's great. Yeah. So you have a new song out called Lucky You. Really awesome video and everything.
Did you say Lucky You?
Yeah.
Lucky one.
Did I say Lucky You? I did say Lucky You. Oh my God. Lucky you for having a new song. This is a typo.
I feel so lucky for having a new release for, that came out in 2020. So yeah. I could retitle the song.
I'm adjusting the notes right now. I have to talk to my personal assistant. This is what happens when you try to type stuff up in between like 5 hours of Zoom meetings all day. But no, it's awesome. And so we're going to have you perform the song. And you'll do that.
Say you'll never let me go. I'm the one one you need. You say you'll never break my heart, leave it there to bleed out slowly. Never is a word you shouldn't say, things might change. I do believe that I'm the lucky one, the lucky one. I'm the lucky one, the lucky one. I told you everything, my secrets and my dreams no longer hiding inside. My life is on the road, traveling miles and miles. I share my soul with you by my side. I'm home, home. I'll whisper to you as you sleep, to infiltrate your dream. Our hearts are young and running wild, living life with every passing mile. You're the only lover I'll ever know on this road, and I'll always believe that I'm the lucky one, the lucky one. I'm the lucky one, the lucky one. I'm the lucky one, the lucky one. The lucky one, the lucky one.
Okay, so we're back. Great job on the song.
Thank you.
um, okay, so I have a couple questions on the song. So, and we talked a little bit about this earlier. So, this is kind of like the portion I was excited about. Talk to the songwriters, and it's really cool that you mentioned that you've kind of been only doing this for like a short time, like 7 years. So it's really cool. I think it's just awesome when new songwriters are just kind of moved. The whole experience is kind of a weird experience, you know. And this song is
Yeah.
interesting because, you know, it to me it's like it's a great love song, and I just think those are the hardest to write. You know, they're just like the hardest to write. So, you know, was it difficult for you to like really just lay it on there? And like, what did your husband say when he heard it? Like, I need the full details here.
Love songs. Oh, I'm always in the fields. Okay. Like I'm always in my head. And so writing anything emotional pretty much is just like, yeah, I want to do that. And usually, like if you're like upset with someone, your loved one or something, like you just like you get all of that frustration out on paper. And so then I do that. And then I rewrite it.
It's so funny. It's so much easier to write about the bad stuff, right? The breakups and like,
It is. So I like to try to take a song that I wrote out of frustration or just getting all the raw emotion out and then look at it from another side. Like, okay, well, I can't remember why I initially wrote this song, Lucky One, but you know, the first line is like, I fell in love with the road living for a dream, along came a boy. Well, that's opposite of my story because I met my husband first before I decided, you know, that I wanted to be a musician and a songwriter and performer. So, um,
that's
but I
cool
did
though.
fall in love with like, man, I want to play out and I want to like travel. And oh, I'm so lucky that I have you. And you know this about me now, you
No,
know.
right, right, right.
So it's after the fact, but I thought it would be cool that if like when two people meet, you're you're in love with someone, but you should be really in love with them for as they are, not who they could be.
Right, right, right.
And then over time you love who they become, you know. So that was the initial, I think, thoughts behind Lucky One. It's just like, you know, it's lucky to find someone who loves you, adores you, cherishes you as you are, and the journey you're on, and they still choose to be with you. So
You're just making me want to drink some more whiskey now, so I'm just gonna do that really quick. It's great. So
it's
that's
fine. I
awesome.
will join you in a drink.
So you had mentioned, like we talked earlier, that you had the song done for a while, and then you just kind of like waited for a while, and because you weren't happy with it. Like, what changed? Why did you kind of decide, finally to put it out? What was the thought process there?
I think I was just having a prophecy that COVID was coming and that we would all be hunkered down and that we couldn't release music or do anything. No, I recorded it with my last album. It was the last song that we recorded of the whole like tracking day, which we
Okay.
recorded 11 songs in one day.
One day. Oh my God.
And
It's crazy.
they didn't kill me for it. So I just like, yeah, let's keep going. But it was just the last song. And I think I just had all these other ideas that I couldn't quite, I didn't know what they were yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we did record it in the studio, like live. I still went back and did my parts a little bit. Some parts later, I redid them.
Okay.
But I wanted to have that whole live band sound feel, like all of us together. And so, yeah, we were able to capture that. But still, like when I listened to, the mixes, I was like, I don't know, something's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just release the 10.
Okay.
I'll just hold on to this one for later. And it just so happened that later was 2020.
Wow. Well, it's good to have an extra song like that. I mean, that was my next question. I was like, it has such a live feel to it. So was the percussion, and who was playing on it? And then were like, there's an electric guitar, her, an acoustic, and the djembe, and your voice. Was that all electric, all done live? With the electric guitar too, or just
and
you
there was bass.
and there's bass, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it? I listened to the YouTube like on my computer speakers, so that's probably why I can hear everything. But
oh yeah,
was
the
it
bass
live?
is
Like,
pretty low in a mix.
what like would you play all those instruments live? Was it, because I was wondering if the electric guitar was later. I almost thought if the electric guitar was over that.
No, so it was James Britton on electric,
Mm-hmm.
John Wooten on bass, and Andrew Gaber on the djembe, and then me on acoustic. They were all live in one room, and I was in like a separate booth. We were at Tonal Park in Tacoma Park,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't play to a click track, so I'm like, all right, Andrew, you just set the tone. We're just playing to you, and that's essentially what we did. It did have that feel that I wanted of it being like all of us playing like we were just like camping, like, hey, let's play this love song, around the campfire.
No,
there was no fire.
blend. I love the blend of the instruments. That's why I was asking about the electric guitar. I thought
Yeah,
I could hear that, and I thought that was it really added a lot. Some of the like little leading stuff he was doing and everything. I like that a lot. And
James is amazing. I think I started playing with him in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
The years fly by. I have no idea.
What year is it now?
No, I don't know. Or maybe it was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, he's this young guy, super talented. And I never give direction with my bandmates. I'm just kind of like, here's a song. Now you go.
Now you go. Right.
And I
tried to give direction, but they never listened to me. So it's fine.
They're like, yeah, okay, Nyan, I got it.
Got you, no problem.
No, I told them when we were there, I was like, all right, we're gonna record, we're gonna do 3 takes, and whichever is the best we'll just do. So I don't even know if he switched it up, but that, I feel like that did add a lot more to the song because it was such a acoustic driven, like just real
it's really
relaxed.
It's really breezy, and like I saw some comment on YouTube. It said something like lovely and melancholy or something. I was like, well, I don't think it's melancholic. That's my thing. I do melancholy. So I was like, I think it was like it's a hard vibe to catch because it's almost, it's like a breezy kind of like you said, like a Sunday afternoon or a campfire, and it's really hard to capture that. I think that kind of like chill. You think it's easy, and most musicians who, if they're listening to this, understand that vibe is really difficult to catch. And I'm really, it's really great you guys got to catch it. And really, like you said, it happens live mostly. And you could almost tell you guys are almost like, the visual I get is you guys are standing in a circle playing that
Yeah.
song. And that's
They
great.
were in a semicircle, and I was just a little bit away, separated by a glass window. but
That's awesome.
But yeah, that is what I wanted to capture, was just like, we're all together. We can see each other, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, so we can make the eye contact. And so it felt live. You know, even though, like I said, I went back and like recorded the vocals and acoustic again later.
Okay.
Which I think we might have just like layered it a little bit, but capturing them mostly live was the important piece for me.
Well, sweet. Well, definitely we'll link up the YouTube video for Lucky One and a bunch of other cool stuff, and the Spotify links and all that stuff. And I always like to end these things because, again, you know, I'm a music nerd. This is what I do. Like, I enjoy like this week I'm going through all 24 Kinks records and literally going through all of them. So not like artists or things like that. If there's a song or even one or two you could think of, like an actual song that kind of you think influenced the vibe or like the writing or the lyrical style, is anything you could think of?
Oh my God.
Awesome people out there. Or even, you know, if there's a song, like I said, like it's more, I'm really interested on the craft of the song and on this little episode, talk, podcast, whatever you want to call this thing.
I can't even think of who I was listening to at the time. Like, I do like to mix up my listening between like local bands, local artists, and like my favorite, you know, like national acts.
Right.
But ultimately, you know, I watch a lot of movies. And sometimes like I'm watching this movie and it just gives me this feeling and I'm like, oh, I want to write. And I just go write. So it's not necessarily music that has inspired me. It's like just the story of something, of a movie, or that inspires like maybe something I've already been thinking about.
Okay. So I'll give you a mulligan on the song, but here's the question then. Because I love movies too, and I like the fact that it's really cool that you said that it's the stories that sometimes influence you. It doesn't have to always be like a song, which is totally awesome, I think. But what's your favorite? What's your like go-to love story movie? Because we're talking about love story in the song. We will end with that last question. Give me a movie.
Let's see. I think I have to say that I love Under the Tuscan Sun.
Okay. All right. It's Diane Lane, right? Diane Lane. Right?
It's Diane Lane. Yep. Because there's heartache in it, you know. But at the end of the movie, you know, after she's like been feeling like she's never gonna find love again, and she's moved across the globe to some beautiful place, that she essentially like meets a writer, someone who does what she does, you know, and who like, even though she gave him a bad review, like they love that about her. That's so cool. It's things like that it's just like, I feel like acceptance and feeling connected to people is what really drives my storytelling in my music. Because I think we all want to feel that. So that would have to be like, that's my go-to movie when it comes to like a
sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thanks, Jahnel. That's really cool. That's really awesome. So I'm gonna try my setup and I'm gonna see if I can perform my new song, which is not a love song at all.
Not a love song. That's correct.
It's not a song.
Yeah, well, let's just hear this new song of yours, man.
All right. I'm going to try to do this here. We got everything on. This is Whispers and Noise, the NRI's January 2021 release. Here it goes. He never feared God, but he always feared death. He never feared God. Whole life lost in a single breath. Whispers and noise, all screams and joys, it all destroys. It all destroys. Are you ready to feel the pain? He always loved life, and he prayed and he prayed. He always loved life, but time to time his faith it did stray. Whispers and noise, all screams and joys, it all destroys. Are you ready to feel the pain? Oh yeah. Are you ready to feel the pain? All right. Thanks. Well, cool.
We just got those like all those like finger movements. I don't know how you do it. I just don't. It's really cool and intimidating.
Oh well, it shouldn't be. It's just I didn't do a lot of things for my life for 30 years. I just played guitar, so that's what happens. So cool, yeah. I mean, really excited about it. It's an old song, but you know, we didn't know what to do. We were all excited about 2020, and then we didn't do anything for like the whole year. And then at the end of the year, we just decided to have me, Eddie, our bass player, and Pat, our drummer, just went to a studio, just us three, and the engineer, and did 7 songs in one day, just the basic tracks. And then
That's pretty cool.
you know, we're at Crescendo Studios. Luckily, Eddie is a great engineer, our bass player, and just doing everything. We have 8 people in the band, so it's with COVID, trying to make sure everybody's safe and smart. We've got some people recording at home, sending us files. Some are coming in. It's a real hodgepodge, but it's funny because we haven't played these songs. We did one drive-in show over the summer at Crescendo Studios, and that was great. But the whole band couldn't make it, and due to COVID, we couldn't have everybody perform. So I haven't even seen some of the band members in like a year. Before this past like January, December, we started recording, each person kind of coming in, slowly to record. So it's been good.
You miss people, right?
Yeah, you miss just playing. So it's exciting that we're really happy and excited to get these things out. So it's really exciting. So
That's all. Yeah. So I had a couple of questions about your song because, I feel like a lot of people who did release music either in 2020 or, beginning of 2021, it's just kind of out of necessity. Like, man, I can't let this year get away from me. I mean, that was partially mine, but I mean, we're creators, so you said it was an older song, but what made this one the one you really wanted to make sure you recorded?
It's always like with the NRIs, it's really funny because it's just because we don't rehearse that much because almost all of us, only one of us doesn't have kids. So we're always busy with the kids, with work and other stuff, spouses schedules, our schedules, so we don't get to see each other a lot. So when we do rehearse, it's like, sometimes we will rehearse in a whole year, maybe like less than 10 times for the whole year. So writing new music with 8 people is so difficult. So it just happened to be the first song we worked on like probably 2 or 3 years ago with even different band members, and kept the demos, and then just kept working at it, working at it, working at it. And then when we got to the end of the roll, we like, well, that's the one we know the best. It might not be like the most exciting song, or they're like, hey, we're back and it's gonna be fun, we're ready to rock. It was like, okay, this is a little more kind of bluesy and it has like a weird outro. There's no real chorus to the song. It's kind of a strange tune, but we just said, okay, we know this one the best. So let's just do that one first. That's kind of why we just put it out. And
Well,
I and
that's
I
cool.
dig the kind of, it has everything I think that's like what the NRIs are about. There's a little bit of blues, a little bit of folk, rock, and then there's like a little bit of like big orchestration with the ending and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, I think like when I listened to it, it even though you wrote it a while ago, it kind of still fit the vibe of the past year we just had. Like
Totally.
so maybe it was serendipity or something.
Yeah.
That one, you're like, I don't know, we seem to know this one the best. Like, who knew?
It's like it's basically a song like, it's kind of like midlife crisis, like waking up in the middle of the night and being like, man, this sucks that we're gonna not be here in some form in some future. All these things I'm thinking about, and all these thoughts I'm gonna have when I pass away, they'll be gone. And that's kind of the genesis of starting the song, and then having these two characters in my head, like the first one being a person who doesn't fear God, but he fears death. Like, so
Yeah.
the person wakes up in the middle of the night. Then the second person in the story is the other person, the second verse, which is, he always loved life and he prayed. So he did believe in God, but time to time his faith did stray. So it's like, to me, it's almost like two people that are looking across each other on this cliff, and there's like a, crack in the earth between them, and they're like across each other. And so there's like
Yeah.
the good and the evil. It's almost like, I always, when I was thinking of what the whole song was about, I was like, well, it's kind of an introduction to a story, almost like you were saying. It's like an introduction to a movie of two characters, one who's like faith, believes in God, and one who doesn't, and how
And
both of
how
them,
do their paths
yeah, how
cross?
do their paths cross. There's a
I
big
want to
there's
watch
a
that
there's a
movie.
lightsaber duel somewhere, in the movie. So that's kind of the, that's pretty much what it is. And it's funny, I didn't like, because of the song, how the structure is, it's just like 2 lines per character and that's it, you're done. So it's almost like, I want to do more of the story, but you move on to other songs.
I feel like sometimes just that little snippet of like two people is enough to be like, let me think about that. Like, where am I at in my story? Like, well, which character do I identify with? And I think that's just a great conversation starter when you're listening to music. Even you don't want the whole story. It's like looking at art, right? Like you're pretty much looking at art, and it makes you feel something in your own personal way, different from the guy standing next to you.
Totally. Like, I mean, like for me, like a lot of it when I was like first starting out songwriting, and when I was younger, it was, everything was about like, me or I, or like I was like, yes. And then like, you listen to different types of songs and you're like, I always, any interview I've done or I always talk about Juliana Hatfield. She's a 90s artist and really influential to me. And she wrote a song called My Sister. And it was when she was like interviewed, she's like, yeah, I don't even have a sister. And I was like, what is happening? So that was one of the first epiphanies where, songs are not about the person creating them all the time, but that was like a more of like a light bulb moment where this song was so like detailed in everything about this person. And she was like, it wasn't a real person. And I was like, man, that's really cool. So that was like, a real big piece of puzzle when I was trying to write songs and be like, it doesn't have to always be about you. So,
And you believed it is the thing. Like, she told a story and you were like,
yeah,
it's just like, yeah, I don't have a sister.
it's pretty cool. But yeah, well, that's the, and I think we were talking this earlier, but like, it's interesting, like for like, writing music is interesting because it's like, people always ask like, where did you get the song, or what did you, I mean, like literally, probably like you, I just picked up the guitar. It's like, it's almost like it's there already. You just got to find it,
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of thinking about like, oh, I should put a G chord after this, or it should be, the third. I don't really think like that. I just kind of like put my hands on the guitar, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I can hear it coming through, and then I'll just kind of twiddle my, like, a lot of these things I do on the guitar with those chords and stuff, they're just like, I can hear it in my head, and then I'll just gotta look my fingers to where it is, and then I'll figure it out. So
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna ask, like, is it lyrics or is it music, melody first for
it's a
you?
great question. It's like what I usually do, and it's odd, is like I'll just have like pages and pages of words and lyrics, then I'll have all these like riffs and ideas, and I'll just start flipping the page. I'm like, oh no, I'll start singing. That sucks. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And then I'll just find a line. And then even like if it's a piece of like some sort of like written thing of that's got a verse and a chorus, I might just like a line and take that out and rewrite a whole nother piece of music, a whole other set of lyrics to fit the song. So it's really like I rarely write something for something. It's just
Okay.
yeah. I wish I did more, but it's always a random process of just looking through my like notebook of stuff and then trying to match up lyrics and stuff. And I always stealing, like, when there's like different paragraphs of verses and chorus, I'll do a lot of just taking a line from here, taking a line from this place, taking a line from this place, and adding it all up. So
But I mean, that's really cool because it seems like we all have just a different process. There's no magic formula. I mean, of
Yep.
course, the record industry would beg to differ, but for us, like songwriters, it's like, we're just writing what we feel or like what inspires us. And sometimes they don't match up. So like you said, you're like, well, I can take something from here and match it with this one. This seems to make sense. Like you're finding your own, like pattern to create a song. And that's, I don't know,
Yeah, and it's
that's
like all the
pretty
influences
magical.
too. Yeah, well, I liked what you said about the, like, one of the questions I was trying to ask in these like talks with other songwriters is like, what songs have influenced you? I really like that was a great answer of like it could be a story or a movie, because that happens to me all the time. For this one, when we were talking about like this question, I was like, what song? Because I don't even remember either what I was listening to or what I was into, but the beginning is such a loose kind of blues riff. It probably reminds me of like I love John Lee. I love a lot of blues music. That's how I learned how to play guitar when I was a kid. That's the first music I loved. So the first song I remember telling my guitar teacher I wanted to learn was a John Lee Hooker song, and he was like, "Who is this Indian kid asking to play John Lee Hooker?" Like, it was the first song. I was like, "I want to play Madman Blues," and he was like, I know I totally threw him for a loop because he was like into blues, and I see him on Facebook and stuff. His name's Dave Chappelle. He's like a legendary guitar player in the area for blues, but he was probably like, oh my god, this kid wants to learn Freddie King and BB King and John Lee Hooker. So that's probably
He probably loved you secretly, like,
yeah. So that's probably it. And then a lot of that like songwriting with the lyrics and stuff, you start getting influenced by all these, like Bruce Springsteen's a big guy. Like, I remember listening to his record Devils and Dust, and it's like just dark, and that song is really cool, and there's a whole bunch of imagery and lyrics, and that's like you try to aspire to be that cool, and like and sometimes simple is good too. That's why like I always try to be like, okay, I'm not going to be that Bob Dylan verbose. I'll just have like simple words, simple lines, and that's been my kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. This was an awesome discussion with Jahnel Daliya. A great new song called Lucky One out there, video on Spotify. Highly recommend you support local music, as most people who do this for a living know, even people like Taylor Swift. Streaming gets you about 0.00304, maybe if you're lucky 0.5 to get something. So streaming is great. If you can go to like the artist website or Bandcamp, donate a little bit there, even like $1 or $2, it's like huge difference.
Yeah.
So do that. The NRIs will be putting out songs every month, we hope, this year, and we'll be trying to do this Both Sides Now episode in the future. Hopefully we'll return. Jahnel, if you have some new tunes coming out, I think that would be awesome. Even if you don't, just come back and hang out. So
can I just be cool like you guys?
well, thanks a lot. We'll get everything online. Like I said, look at the links below in the YouTube comment section. We'll try to put all the links that we talked about. And hope you enjoyed this episode, the premiere episode, warts and all, mistakes and all, of Both Sides Now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I did my kid's thumbs up. I don't know why I just did that. my kid always, every picture, he's like this. I just did that. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. All right, that was good.
I'm starting to do this number. Duck face, duck lips. Like